everyone. Hope you're having a great Sunday night. I just wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about love tonight, being in love, and share some little, I guess pieces of the golden puzzle of my life that I've, put together over the years. And I wanted to share an experience that I had about a month ago. And I was driving to Richmond Hill, to Toronto for school. As some of you know, I am a polarity practitioner and I'm furthering my studies in polarity. So I was headed up there for some in-class hours. Anyway, so I normally carpool with two other beautiful women. And this particular weekend they were sick, so I was all by myself. It was very quiet in the car. So I chose to listen to some Wayne Dyer audio, and Wayne Dyer is a very big teacher for me over the last few years of my life. So I was listening to Wayne Dyer, and I got myself into such just a beautiful state, and I was just thinking about how grateful I was that, traffic wasn't bad, traffic was really good. I was grateful for good weather, not having to drive through rain or snow. And just so grateful for the experiences that I've had in my life that had led me to the point where I was at, where I was studying holistics, and there was a point in my life where I almost decided to stop and completely pull back off of it, and go and just kind of just stop doing it altogether. And I was so happy that I didn't. I was so grateful in that moment that I didn't. And I was like driving past Pearson airport, and I was just looking at the planes and so happy that the planes were there and landing safe, and hoping everybody was getting where they were going safely, and thinking about families traveling. And I look up, and on the exit sign there's triple digits, like 111, and so then there's this exit sign number everywhere, and I just felt like I was in such a flow state, like I was in such a blissed out, beautiful, happy state, and I was just so grateful in that moment for just the moment where I was at in time, right then and there, from the seat of my car driving to school. And I kind of wanted to bring up that experience, because the thing that helped me get to that, state of happy, that state of love, I was sitting in the energy of love in that moment. It wasn't love with a partner, it wasn't love with a person, it was just the energy of love and being in love. And what got me there was gratitude, and just being so grateful, having such a grateful heart for the experiences that have gotten me to where I was, and in that moment, and honoring my truth. Because honoring my truth is what got me to where I was and where I am today. And I'd never really put together this idea that self-love and standing in your truth are sort of one and the same. To love yourself is to stand in your truth. Standing in your truth is love for yourself. And recently, I had kind of like gone through this experience where I was feeling really overwhelmed with, there's a few projects that I'm working on that I'm about to kind of roll out. And some of you know that I'm a coach. I coach children, and I coach others, women as well. And so I have a couple of programs that are about to kind of like roll out to the public. And it's the first time that I think that I've really, put myself out there. So I was feeling a lot of pressure, and it was really challenging my confidence. And one day I was feeling just like really shooken up, and I didn't know where that was coming from. And part of my personal practice is meditation. It's a part of my spiritual practice. It has been for a long time. And so I got into a meditation to feel, what was kind of going on, what was this about. And it was as if I had this image of me being sort of held down to the ground, like pinned down to the ground by my throat by somebody, and I couldn't get up, I couldn't move. And this person was saying, like, you're not confident enough, you're not good enough, like, you can't do this, who do you think you are, holding me there, not letting me move. And I just thought, like, who is this, who's holding me here, I don't know what this is about. And from there, the frame sort of pulled back, and I saw that it was me. And it was this vision of Stacy, the part of Stacy who held anger, who held resentment, who held frustrations for, decisions that she'd made, or judgment or shame. It was like that was this Stacy holding the other Stacy down, who wants to grow, who wants to evolve, and wants to live a happy, healthy, fulfilling, passionate life, awakened life. And in the moment when I saw that it was me, I was able to just kind of stop and decide in that moment that I don't need to do that to myself. That all of this anger and all this rage, a lot of that was due to taking a lot of what other people said to me personally, or taking a lot of their projections into me and losing my power, feeling powerless. And it would result in me being angry and resentful or whichever. So in the moment, I kind of just backed my hand off. And I didn't get angry. If anything, I felt a little hurt that I was doing that to myself, because we do that. We hold ourselves back up here and within here. And I realized then that instead of holding myself down, I kind of just picked myself up and started to show myself some more love. And a big part of that was understanding that the choice to hold myself down and the choice to hold myself back was very hurtful, and almost felt like a form of spiritual self-harm. It was like, in a way, it was a form of spiritual self-harm that was just keeping me from living in my truth, and keeping me from living in and standing in my power, and where I really can serve and assist others. And so a part of me, in that moment, was really grateful to have had that experience, to see and really feel that I was the one that was holding me back. There was nobody in front of me telling myself that I'm not confident enough, or I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. That's all me. And I had realized recently that this, when you listen to your truth, the more I delve into self-love and what that practice is about, because self-love has become such a practice for me, that honoring your truth is something that I actually have done for a very long time. I just gave away my power a lot to people, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit, because this was a big puzzle piece for me. So honoring my truth came in the form of, I would hear this and it would sound true to me, so I would follow that path for a bit. Or, this book looks really interesting and it seems like it's speaking to me, like I want to read it, so I'm going to follow that. Or, this speaker seems very inspirational, so I'm going to follow this speaker. So a big part of this was, what this, like, meditation sounds so great, so I'm going to look into that. And I would follow those parts of me that felt true. This holistic path to life looks really beautiful just for myself. And that's initially where I followed into it, was a path for me. So I followed into that, and it just became something I wanted to be a practitioner for. But as I followed my truth, that became more of a, when you love yourself, you honor your truth, you stand in your truth. But when I was, when you're young, you don't really see that, when others are projecting their stuff onto you, when they're feeling separate from something within themselves, or they're feeling a lack of something within themselves, you're not conscious enough at that time, or aware enough at that time, to understand that the reaction that you're getting from them, or what they're putting on you, is really just a show of separation from within themselves. So as a child, or even in a place of not being aware enough to see that that's what's going on, you could say something to someone and it could be something that triggers them, sets them off, and you feel like you've done something wrong, but it's not really about you. It's their separation within them being projected on, and you take it personally. Or that's at least something that I would do. So I would get this reaction from someone, and I would take it so personally that it would become such a part of my belief system. Like, I just did something wrong, I better not do that again. Or, I just said this and it really upset them, I better not do that again. So I would constantly create these patterns or beliefs within myself to try to just survive sometimes, but to just make sense of things. And eventually I got to a place where, I realized that as I followed my truth in my life, I became aware enough, I became conscious enough to understand that that's what was actually happening, and conscious and aware enough to deconstruct or unlearn all those stories that I told myself, or all those patterns and beliefs that I created over time that had really, like, for the last 20 some years been what's been holding me back. And you don't realize it at the time that you're creating these stories, that you're the one creating these stories. It's you that's present during all of this. And today in class, we were talking in polarity, we work with the elements a lot, and we were talking about the element of fire. And each element has a passion and a virtue attached to it. And the passion for fire is anger, and the virtue for fire is forgiveness. So we were talking about forgiveness and the idea of, why is it forgiveness and not unconditional love? But really, it is. And forgiveness is not just about forgiving someone else or forgiving someone who's not asking for your forgiveness, because it's not about that either. Forgiveness, in a sense, for me, has become about giving love for me. It's about creating space within me, loving myself enough to let go, loving myself enough to move on, loving myself enough to surrender, loving myself enough to accept. And there's also a part of it that, when you stand in your truth, you're holding your power. And a lot of times when, I was younger, and then through my life, and anytime I would take something so personally, I would give my power away to somebody. Oh, I must have done something wrong. There goes my power. Oh, I won't do that again. There goes my power. And every time that I would, quiet down when I wanted to speak up, I gave away my power. When I sat down when I wanted to leave, I gave away my power. So many moments like that where you want to stand up for yourself and you don't, you lose your power. You want to set a boundary and you don't, you lose your power. So it's all those moments in time add up to where, I got to a place where I just felt so powerless, where I didn't even recognize myself anymore. I didn't recognize my heart. I didn't recognize my mind, my spirit, my body. And as you take care of your body, as I've been taking better care of it and working on my health, as I shed layers to that, there's layers coming out of my energetic body as well. And parts of that are these moments of realization, these moments of awareness that just keep coming up of, I'm being tested in my confidence. Nobody's telling me I'm not confident except for myself. It's like I'm the one trying to convince myself that I'm not confident enough, when that's not the case at all. So I just wanted to share this a little bit, because it was such a, an insight for me that, you could be someone who's from, a really tiny town, or like born into a family that is very loving, is also very, unconscious in their belief systems, or in their patterns and their behaviors and the stories they've created over time. But as long as you listen to your truth, okay, as long as you listen to the truth within, grace, the graciousness from within, that you look in the mirror and you say, yeah, I shouldn't have said that to that person, that was really mean, or I was really hurtful for that person and I feel really bad about it and I really want to apologize but I'm scared. Or those moments where you want to step up and help the person that just fell, but you don't, and you just sit there. That part in you that wants to serve out of love, that wants to speak out of love, that wants to act from a place of love, that, to me, that truth, that grace, you stay connected to that, you can get yourself to such a place where you start to just become more aware of yourself. And a big part of my coaching and a big part of the work that I do is assisting others in finding more awareness for themselves. And a lot of work I do with women, and a lot of work I do with children, and creating a space for them to be more aware of themselves and their surroundings and their thoughts, and just holding a really beautiful space for them to really just sort of get to know who they are and what they want, and feeling and emotion, and connecting to breath, connecting to air, to movement. And a big part of my weekend, this past weekend, has just been such an amount of deep breathing, of deep transformation, of deep growth, and more love inside me than I've felt in a very, very long time, and not love for any specific person except for myself and for the tribe of people around me, for those around me, and who've been there to support me. And I've been asking for help a lot recently with projects and ideas and editing, and it's been really beautiful having other people like want to help, and not be scared that it's going to come from like a criticism place. But sometimes you just need to ask for help from people who have the skill set, or even just someone that's got a good set of editing eyes. But sometimes we ask for help, or we go to people who we actually can't trust with our stuff, and we have to start taking ownership of, do we have people around us who we can't trust with our secrets? Do we have people around us that we can't trust with our projects and our passions? And these are all passion projects that I'm working on. They mean a lot to me. They're from my heart to the world. Do I have people around me that I can't trust with my vulnerability? Because a big part of these projects is that they are from my heart. They're like my little babies. And to have that out in the world, that part of it made me feel so vulnerable, but it's not about me, right? What I'm creating for children and these programs on awareness and brain development and leadership, and just creating a really beautiful space for them to come into balance with nature and more of a holistic approach to child development or child support. And self-love coaching that I do a lot with women, and I know there are men out there doing work, and men who are out there working, you inspire me. Keep on going. I know there are some of you out there. I know there are some of you who are stuck. I know there are some of you who are extremely confused in your masculinity and where you're going in life and where you fit in. And I know that there's still so many just people in general, or women and teenagers, in general, or young women, young adults who are kind of feeling a little bit stuck. And I know what that feels like, that feeling of stuckness. And I know firsthand that when I'm feeling stuck, it's not because of something external. When I'm feeling stuck, it's something internal that needs to shift. There's something internal that's stuck. It's not anything external that's wrong. It's all in here. It's all in here. And I know that one of the things that I am most passionate about is holding space and creating space for people here in my office, where beautiful things happen when you take a moment to just bring awareness to areas of life, or just to life in general, and give yourself some space to just sort of feel some things out and talk some things through, shift some energy. Big part of the energy work that I do is through polarity therapy, and a big part of brain development I do is through brain gym and connections within the brain. And sometimes just not underestimating the power of vulnerable, authentic communication, the power of vulnerability, the power of courage, the power of bravery, the power of self-awareness. And when you start to actually take your power back, what a love can do for the world when you stand in your power. I promise you that. And as I continue to work on mine and find more of it, I will share more of it. And I can honestly say that, I'm at such a place in my life. Like, I created Elevation Coaching. I created Elevation Coaching with the intent to raise, the consciousness of the planet, to elevate the consciousness of the planet. How do you do that? By standing in your truth and standing in your power and encouraging others to do the same. And I just want to let you know that I'm here. If you're looking for support, or if you're looking for some assistance on how to do that for yourself, send me a message, comment below, or just contact me privately. But I can honestly say that the moments where you're standing in your truth, you're coming from your heart, and it's from a loving place, you can't do anything wrong there. There's nothing wrong from coming from a place of love. And the moments that I've shut myself down when I wanted to come from a place of love are moments that I can't take back. But they're moments that I can forgive myself for, and open back up to the power that's always been there, that I've been shutting out myself. And I'm sure there's others out there who can relate to this experience. But your power is not something that you've lost. Your power is not something that's been taken and ripped from you. Your power is just right here. And we can work at getting that back, one step, one layer at a time. And I'm here to encourage and assist you in that. And I just wanted to say I love you. Coming in as a resident, I guess, like love ambassador tonight. I'm feeling very lovey after this weekend. Been crying a lot and loving a lot and just open to transformation and power to just share some love. Love always, self-love always. Talk soon.